Welcome to Reddit Aliens. What is something you swear you saw but have no proof of? Posted 1 day ago. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. The inside of a tornado. I was in an underground storm shelter with an 8-inch bulletproof glass window on the ceiling, and a tornado went right over us in Moore, Oklahoma. And from the inside of the tornado, you can literally see all the way up to a sunny sky and white clouds. This next poster may have a superpower a lot of us would love to have. I've had a few things in my possession duplicate themselves, but everyone thinks I'm crazy. The first instance was a dog food scoop. I had 2 of them. My dog chewed one up, I threw away the chewed one, and about a week later, there were suddenly 2 again. I was very confused because the scoops came special with the containers I have, and I only have 2. Then the second time was when I accidentally threw away my vape charger, so I got a new one. Then about a week later in my junk drawer, right next to the new vape charger, there was a duplicate. The third time was the weirdest. I was standing next to someone and we were getting ready to light candles to sing Silent Night at a Christmas event. I needed to do something, so I threw her lighter in my bag for a second. When I fished it out, there were 2 identical lighters, both a weird miniature-sized gray lighter, and I don't smoke. I don't own any lighters except a regular size yellow one I use for candles, so it's never in my purse. Also, want to add, I don't have house guests, and the only person I live with is my boyfriend who works night shift and does not have the time to go out and buy things, so these items literally came out of nowhere. I work in special education as a para, and a lot of people underestimate and ignore or disregard my kiddos, so this kinda happens all the time. Here's a fun one. I worked with a kindergartner with Down syndrome who was described to me by his case manager as having the mind of a 1-year-old, whatever that means. Which, I get what that means, lol, I just find it better sometimes to let a new kid show me what they can do before I make assumptions about anything. Anyway, for a while my schedule included hanging out with him in the main office while we waited for his mom to pick him up at the end of the day. One day the sun was shining really brightly through the window, and he looked at the light on the floor, got excited, and started making really sophisticated and complex 2-handed shadow puppets. He made a few for me, but the one I remember was a hopping rabbit. No one believes me, and he consistently refused to do it for anyone else. I choose to believe he's deliberately effing with me because that is the funnest possible explanation. A wolverine when I was living in western Montana. I only saw it for a moment before it disappeared, but I know that's what it was. I've met more people who claim to have seen Bigfoot than who have seen a wild wolverine. Some things taste better than they look. Some things look better than they taste. At a family lunch, I saw my uncle, through marriage, finish his food and then eat a large, crumpled up paper napkin. No one else noticed. No one believes me. They all think it must have been a piece of flatbread. It is infuriating. I know what I saw, and the man did not wipe his hands and mouth on a piece of goddamn flatbread. I saw someone have a seizure, but she believes she just fainted and has no memory of her arms and legs and head jerking. Her family also doesn't believe me. They're all in denial. I'm afraid she may be driving someday and seriously injure herself or someone else if she has another seizure. I called 911 when I was 12 because my parents left me home alone and I got spooked. I was made fun of for years afterwards because it was very dramatic. The cops found no signs of an intruder, and I swore to God I saw someone walk across my front lawn and start peeking in my basement windows. I heard a bang, and window open in part of my house, and I instantly ran and jumped under the sofa and called 911 on my cordless phone. My heart was beating out of my chest. By the time the cops got there, they searched the whole house and took my story, right in time for my mom to get home and have a heart attack. The house was also super messy, so it was embarrassing. Anyway, it was winter, and it had snowed the day before, but was all sunny all day. So they checked all around the house and said there were 0 tracks. I swear on my grave I very, very distinctly remember seeing someone walk across my lawn. I was in the basement watching TV and looked up and watched the legs move across. Could only see from the knees down. They walked like a man wearing slacks and winter boots. I remember thinking, why is someone walking around our house? Then, hearing a large bang behind me, I turned around and screamed because it sounded like someone popped a balloon behind me. There was nothing. I got really nervous. Then, a few moments later, I heard what sounded like a window upstairs sliding open and a door creaking open, and I effing lost it. I was convinced I was going to die or be raped or something. Zero evidence anyone was on our property. Beginner's luck, mischievous kid, or bitter dad? You be the judge. When I was 11 years old, on my first round of golf on an actual golf course, not chip and putt or mini golf, with my dad and two of his friends, I hit a ball that bounced off a little hump in front of the green and rolled behind the hump where we assumed it was in the rough. But the green and the hole were obscured by said hump, so you had to go down to the actual green to tell where your shot had landed. It was by far my best shot of the day. I had struggled to even make contact and hit the ball further than 20 feet at times. So I went bounding down to the green to find my ball, but saw nothing. Everyone else took their shot, and as they were walking down to the green, I looked in the hole, and there was my ball. I even thought that maybe it was the previous group, and someone had left their ball in the hole, but it was exact ball I had bought from the pro shop before the round. I jumped up and down and told my dad and his friends, and they were basically like, "Yeah, right, kid, no way." And my dad's one buddy even said he thought there was a chance it could have gone in, but my dad did not buy it, and to this day refuses to believe I hit a hole-in-one on my first round of golf. A man without a shirt on running through my house at 3 a.m. while I was doing a water change, so I had to leave the back door open. I come down to yelling and see a half-naked man running circles around my house. I was the only one home, so to this day, no one thinks it happened. I read a book when I was little about a rocking horse that came to life at night or something. I remember that the main character put ointment on its wounds, that's it. That's all the memory I remember, but I cannot find this book or short story. I've looked and it's nowhere. You should write it. I once found what looked to be a skeleton or fossil of a weird-looking animal at the beach. I don't know if it's an animal known to science, but it looked nothing like anything I've ever heard of. Probably an invertebrate, with a long, conical body made up of little thin segments if I recall correctly. Also had 2 front legs but no back legs. I remember a head with 2 bulbous growths coming out of it. Looks kinda like a fly's head. I played around with it and then threw it away. This is a memory from when I was a little kid though, so like 70-30 likelihood I'm remembering it wrong or it was a dream, but it is quite a vivid recollection. When I was about 7 or 8, in the late 90s, I was playing in my front yard. A crossdresser and his wife walked by in matching outfits, and I could have sworn that the crossdresser was my principal. I kept my mouth shut and didn't tell anyone else about it until my class had graduated. I saw my principal presenting as a man with the same woman. 95% certain it was her, hence why I have no proof. About 3 years later, he was a fantastic principal, and if that was him, I'm glad to have had him as a role model growing up. A real-looking robot mouse. I took my dog for a walk, and this mouse runs out of the snow. Dog gets it, stuns it, and flips it. There's literally wires on its stomach. I turn my head to call my grandma and look back, it's gone. She didn't believe me, but I know what I saw. As a rule, I don't believe in ghosts or any other supernatural stuff, but I do have a ghost story of sorts. It isn't very dramatic, but at the time I was freaked the F out and more than a little confused. A few years ago, at Beverly Beach State Park in Newport, Oregon, I was walking with my dog along this trail that runs along a fairly large creek to the left and a fairly steep hill filled with brush to the right. I was pretty close to the campground. I could still see the RVs and tents through trees on the other side of the creek. As I was walking along, I saw another kid about my age, 14ish, and all by myself, and feeling a bit lonely. I thought I'd approach him. About 50 feet away from him, though, my dog starts panic barking, freaking the F out. His hackles are raised, teeth bared, tail tucked, feet against the ground. Usually my dog is as friendly as he can be. I'd never seen him act this way before, so I was stunned. I tug on his leash and with all my strength, but the dog doesn't want to take a step closer to the kid. Finally, I drag him past, giving the kid a wide berth, and manage to pull my dog around the kid and further along the trail. As I passed him by, I apologize for my dog's behavior, and the kid says nothing. He just stares at me, head slowly tracking us, almost like it would in a horror movie. As soon as the kid is out of sight, Doggo immediately relaxes, wagging his tail and happy as a clam at high tide. Baffled, something in me forces me to turn around and walk back towards the kid, wondering what could have made my dog act like that. Yeah, I'd probably be the first to die in a horror movie. The kid's gone. I mean, gone. And I have no idea where he could have went, where I would have seen or heard him. Even if he'd taken off at a dead sprint down the long straightaway and towards the next corner, in the 30 seconds my back was turned, I feel like I would have seen him. And thanks to the creek or hillside surrounding us, there really was only one way to go. I suppose it's most likely that some shy kid terrified of dogs was equally scared shitless of me and my dog as we were of him. But everyone I tell this story to, that's the type to believe in ghosts, are absolutely certain this was dog sensing an evil spirit. I'm glad you believe your husband. I see Bigfoot too sometimes. He posts on our stories. My husband swears he saw Sasquatch, late 70s. He went out hunting early. It was before sunrise. I've heard him tell this story countless times, and people give him shit about it all the time. But his story has never changed. I believe him. A UFO. I was in my early 20s. It was a family vacation at an amusement park, and my dad and I were in the front car of a roller coaster. It was a clear night. As we were clicking up the first drop in the sky, a very bright light came forward out of space, zigzagged across the sky, then zip, it disappeared. Distance-wise, it was really far away, above where you would see a plane flying. My dad yells, "Hey, did you see that?" And then we were screaming down the drop. No idea what it was. It moved with a quickness and precision I hadn't seen in any flying vehicle, and my dad and I were both sober, so I'm sticking with aliens. A huge bull moose. I was hunting up north, and one guy had just killed a cow, so there was a party. While everyone at the camp was busy getting hammered, I was out hunting grouse in the bush. I wasn't really paying attention, but certainly started when I heard a loud huff, then a stomp, then another. I look up, and 20 feet from me is the biggest moose I've ever seen. Full rack, and big as a house. Not literally, but he was big. I just watched him, and he watched me. Slowly, he turned around and wandered away. My heart was pounding, and I couldn't wait to get back to camp to tell my story. When I got back, nobody believed me. Not even my dear old dad. So, here I am with this story I can picture vividly in my mind even now 8 years later. Hopefully, some of you get a kick out of it, because I love telling this story to anyone that will hear. Thanks for sharing.